I think we'll start, sir. I'll give a briefing and then I'll introduce you. So, good evening, friends. We are starting this pre-interview lecture series. You all have completed your mains examination and hopefully you all be going into the interview phase. Some of you may have already faced the interview and through your friends or by your own experience, you have come here at Sankalp. We are starting the most important leg of this program, the pre-interview lecture series. So what to do and what not to do before the actual preparation starts. So we are fortunate to have here with us Dr. G. Prasanna Kumarji. Dr. Prasanna Kumarji is 1975 batch IAS officer, Haryana cadre, and he has served in many capacities. He superannuated as Additional Chief Secretary, Haryana. And then he was the director of Haryana Institute of Public Administration. And currently, he is the president of our mother body, Jan Kalyan Shiksha Samiti. Right now, we are going to start Sir's lecture. And after the lecture, I'll give you a little brief about what the interview guidance program components are. So I think we can start. Good evening, sir.
Okay, good evening, Sukriti, good evening, all my friends. I'm very happy to see all of you joining this program. I'm reminded of an old story. In a church congregation, the priest asked the people of the church, all the members of the church, that village was facing a drought condition. It was not raining for several days, and the people were quite worried about it. So they requested the priest to get the intervention of the God. The priest told them, okay, you come tomorrow, we will all pray together in the church. So next day, all the members of the church came there, but only one boy had come with an umbrella. So the priest said he is the only person who really deserves the rain. He is the only one who believes in the power of faith, power of prayer. So you are all believers of the power of prayer. You are all believers in, you all believe that you will be in the interview. You will get the call for the interview. That is why you are here in today's program. So I'm very happy to see all of you. Advance congratulations to all of you. Now let us make this program a family affair rather than a class. Though Sukriti had asked you to keep your mic muted, I also asked you to keep your mic muted. But if you have some questions to ask me during the course of my talk, please feel free to talk to me. Then you can use your chat box. I'll keep the chat box on so that if any one of you wants to ask some question relevant to what I am talking about, I can simultaneously answer it. And of course, towards the end of the talk, we can have a pre-discussion also, not only on the topics which I have covered, but on any current affairs topic. If you have any guidance required, to the extent possible, I can give you based on my experience, not based on my knowledge, because I'm sure all of you have much better knowledge about current affairs than I have, because you are the ones who are preparing for civil service examination. I am not. So you are all quite familiar with the current affairs, but I will depend more on my experience. Now that is the difference between you and me. Otherwise, knowledge-wise, you are much better off. Now, I would also like to tell you, by way of introduction, the importance of current affairs in the civil service personality test. Some of you might have already appeared in the interview. And in any case, as Sukriti mentioned, you are all aware of the interview process. But as the name itself suggests, it is not an interview, it's a personality test. Though people prefer to call it interview, we also refer to it as interview, and we call it program, we call interview guidance program, but it is not exactly an interview, it is more a personality test. And you have to show your personality, you have to allow your personality to express itself in the interview so that you get more marks. Whatever is your personality, the 100% of it should come out. And during the course of the interview, you will be asked questions which will enable you to bring out the best in yourself. That is what we have been doing in Samkalp, and I'm sure that is what UPSC also does it. UPSC allows the candidates to bring out the best in themselves. To put it in a nutshell, sometimes they ask me, what is the pattern of the UPSC interview? What is the civil service interview? And I will share with you the answer which I used to give to my students in earlier days also. I used to tell them that civil service interview, if you want to have an equation, some of you may be very comfortable with equations. If I had to put it in an equation, it is civil service interview equal to DAF plus current affairs. Very simple equation, DAF plus current affairs. You have to have a good DAF, how to prepare that DAF and what are the do's and don'ts in preparing the DAF. I am not going to deal with it because there is one session by our mentor and founder, Dr. Santosh Taneja, that is the fourth in the series of lectures. And he is the most appropriate person to talk about DAF preparation because he must have interviewed thousands and thousands of candidates and had one-to-one DAF discussion with them. He will be doing it with you also. Some of you might have already had face-to-face DAF discussion with Santoshji, and nearly 8,000 of those people who have been interviewed, who have had a discussion with Santoshji are in service now. So he is the right person to talk to you. So I will not deal with it. But the only thing which I will like to mention here is that be very, very careful in preparing your DAF, because the interview board will have both your DAFs in front of them, and the questions will emerge out of the DAF. That is my experience also. Sometimes I go to chair the interview panel in Samkalp without preparation at all, without any preparation. Then the DAF is kept in front of me. I spend five minutes going through the DAF, and the questions will immediately come from the DAF. I am not creating those questions. The questions are created by the DAF. 70 to 80% of your interview will be decided by the DAF. So if you prepare your DAF very well, you are preparing the questions. You are setting the question paper for yourself. So be very careful in doing that. And prepare it in such a way that it looks interesting. The panel finds it interesting so that they will be tempted to ask interesting questions to you. And if you are a very smart candidate, you can even lead the board to your areas of strength. That is the most appropriate strategy which you can adopt during the civil service interview. Lead them to your areas of interest. For example, if your area of interest, your strength lies in, say, economics, lead them to economics. If it is international relations, lead them into international relations. Your DAF can help you. How that will do that, Santoshji will explain to you. But this is my advice to you by way of introduction to my class on current affairs. But I am not going to take a class on current affairs because current affairs is not a topic which can be taught. It can only be discussed. So let us make it a discussion. Let us try to have some questions in between, and so that I also get some free time to breathe. You will also get involved in it. It will be a much better experience than listening to a one-sided talk. Okay. Now I'll start my presentation. And now just a little bit about current affairs. So current affairs does not exactly mean happenings in the recent times. Please keep that in mind. The definition of, there is no clear definition of current affairs given anywhere in the UPSC website or anywhere. Current affairs means what is currently being discussed, what is currently being talked about. So suppose some event has taken place 10 years back and it is still being talked about, it is current affair. It may not have happened recently, but it is being talked about. Newspapers report about it, TV channels hold discussions about it, it is current affair. There may be some recent happenings that you can add to that, but you should be very familiar with the background of the case, which may go back to several years. That you should keep in mind. I have tried to help you by preparing a current affairs ready reckoner for the interview. That will reach you very soon, and the soft copy of it will reach you very soon, and that covers all the current affairs topics of 2022 up to 31st of October. I have stopped preparing it after 31st of October, thinking that the interview date will be announced anytime. I may not be able to update it after 31st of October. So that part I am leaving to you. Please keep it updated. But whatever you need to know of this year, 2022, up to the date of 31st October 2022, you will find in the ready reckoner. And I have tried to give some background, some analysis of each issue, but don't depend on my analysis. You have your own analysis, you have your own background search. Search and find out. That is the best way to approach current affairs. Start asking questions to yourself, and how to ask those questions, how to find answers, all these things, that is what I am going to discuss with you today, because the current affairs which we can discuss is unlimited. If I start discussing every topic, we will not be able to finish in 2 or 3 hours. It will go on even after your interview is over, it will not be over. There's so much material. It will never be over. So I don't have any pretensions of teaching you current affairs. We will discuss a few topics. I have a list of topics with me. I will open it before you, and you can select the topics which you want to discuss. That your selection also you can put in the chat box. One topic I will discuss as a maybe as a demo. As a demo, I will discuss the first topic, and I will also demonstrate to you how you can frame questions on current affairs. Framing questions of current affairs, that is something which you have to do yourself. You should try to visualize the type of questions that can be asked to you during your UPSC interview. Excuse me, 1 minute. So try to find out the likely answers that can come up in your UPSC interview. If you have a study group, you can discuss it with your study group. Otherwise, do a brainstorming within yourself. Then, after you have framed those questions, try to find answers to those questions. It is very easy to find answers. If I can find answers looking at the net, you can do it much better than I, because you are all much more net savvy than I am. You are much more familiar with IT and the operations on the internet. You can search for information and find out how to do it. I will give you a small demo. Now let me go to my screen. Is it visible? Is it visible to all of you?
It's visible, sir. It's
okay.
visible.
Okay, I'll try to put it on the. Okay, yeah. Now this is better. Okay. Before I show you the list of topics, this is just one small slide which I have prepared to give you what are how to find answers to your questions. When you have already framed the question, now you should know where to look for the answers. Of course, if you do a Google search, you may get the answers, but I will not advise you to depend on Google search alone, because Google search will take you to all wrong places also, and then it will be very difficult for you to find out which is the appropriate answer, which is a wrong answer. So that you can be misled if you do only a Google search. So the best way is to go to an authentic website and find answers there itself. Some of the sources of information I have listed here. It can be newspapers. You can read about in newspapers. Sometimes come up with analysis. Sometimes you have editorials, some articles on the op-ed page. All these things will be useful to you. And if any information has come in recent newspaper editions, then that will you can depend on that. Then you can also find out from the news magazines like Frontline, India Today, etc., or the regular magazines like Yojana, Kurukshetra, etc., which you must already been referring to. Then try to listen to the news channels for the next few days till your date of examination. But I will not advise you to spend 1 hour listening to the newspaper. Just look, listen to the headlines. And if you find that in the headline there is something which is going to be useful to you in your civil service interview, just listen to that. You can even record if you have a recording facility, you record it and listen to only that topics which can be of any use to you in your civil service personality test. Otherwise, don't waste time listening to the entire news for the hour. That will be waste of time. Some of the news channels which you can follow can be BBC's one. I found BBC to be a very good, not only as a channel, but as I like their website even more. If you want information about any international affairs, BBC is the best source of information. CNN is also good, but I will prefer you to go to BBC. So if you want to have background of any international affairs, BBC is the best source. Similarly, you can watch the various channels of Sansad TV, the Rajya Sabha or Lok Sabha channels. They are very useful. There will be good discussions. But if the discussion is about a topic relevant to you, listen to it. Otherwise, don't listen. And even if you are listening to a half an hour discussion, my experience tells me that if I listen to it for 10 minutes, that is enough. After that, it becomes sort of a repetition or some qualifying what he has already mentioned. Then if you are subscribing to Current Affairs magazine online or offline, that may be helpful to you, but there is a lot of extra information which may not be useful to you. That is why I have compiled the Current Affairs Ready Reckoner. Try to stick to that, plus keep on updating it. Updating also, I have mentioned the source and the on which you can update it. Our sister concern, our one associate of Samkalp, it is the Vedic IAS Academy, which is our associate, which is part of Samkalp Parivar. They bring out daily news bulletins, which you can ask students of Samkalp. You can subscribe it. You can get it on their website without any registration, without any payment. It is freely available to all Samkalp students. If you have any problem getting it, you talk to the somebody in Samkalp, they will help you. Then Wikipedia, definitely a good source of information, but a word of caution that some days it may give misleading information also. So be very careful. Always make it a habit to verify it from authentic websites. Then GOI websites like Press Information Bureau, excellent materials, excellent source. PMO also is an excellent source. Niti Aayog is a wonderful source of information about Government of India programs and all. So you must make it a habit to visit these three websites. Then for law-related material, you can go to prsindia.org. For policy-related matter, you can go to CPR India, that is Center for Policy Research. IDSA is Defense Studies. If you want to get some information about India and its neighborhood, go to IDSA. Then Indian Canon, again, related to law. And these are the 11 topics which I have in my presentation. I will give a demo with Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav. Then after that, the remaining 10 topics, I will leave the choice to you. You can have an online vote. Whatever you suggest to me, I will go to that. Okay, because I have the links from this slide. I can go to any of those topics by clicking the link. So feel free to select the topic which you want me to discuss. So first I will go to Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav and tell you how to frame questions, how to ask questions to yourself. This is I am going to demonstrate. This is a demonstration only, but of course you will get a lot of material from that. I'm not going to read much of it. I'll just mention a few things. The rest of it you can read yourself. Of course, you know what is Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav. It is the celebration of our 75 years. Then India is entering into a new phase, that is India 2.0. So we are entering into a new program. That period is going to be called Amrit Kal. That is the next 25 years is the Amrit Kal. We have already entered the Amrit Kal. So we will the Amrit Kal will last from 15th August 2022 to 15th August 2047, which will be practically the major part of your official career. So you are going to make India 2.0 during the Amrit Kal. That responsibility is on your shoulders. Okay, it was launched on 12th March 2021, but officially the Amrit Kal started on 15th August 2022. These are the 5 themes of Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav: freedom struggle, ideas at 75, resolve at 75, actions at 75, and achievements at 75. We will have a quick look at all these 5 topics. I will not spend much time because, as I told you, this is only a demo. Freedom struggle is to commemorate milestones in history, like the unsung heroes of our freedom struggle, the major important events in our freedom struggle. All those details are covered in the free struggle, and we, as dutiful citizens of the country, it is our responsibility to pay our homage to the freedom fighters who are our predecessors, who they have suffered to give us freedom. They have struggled to give us freedom. So we have to return, we have to remember them with gratefulness. We have to commemorate their achievements. Ideas at 75, there are many ideas which are floating around, like the students have been asked to write cards to the Prime Minister about their vision of India in 2047. By the way, that reminds me that on 29th August, that is the coming 29th of November, that's the next week, 29th, we are going to have a talk about India 2050 by a very pioneering entrepreneur, Mr. Ajay Ranga. He is going to talk about India 2050. I will request all of you to attend and participate in that discussion. And Samkalp is going to host it under the platform of the Former Civil Servants Forum. And all of you are invited. And Sukriti, please send the link to all of them. I will be sending the link very soon. So please send the link to all the participants of this program. So there also you can discuss the ideas at 75. Resolve at 75, as a nation, we all have to resolve that we will make India great during the Amrit Kal. We will sacrifice ourselves. We will dedicate not sacrifice. We will dedicate ourselves to serve the country, so that all the goals we have set for ourselves will be achieved during the Amrit Kal. And to enable us to do that, we celebrate a number of commemoration days, like the Constitution Day. Now, if you mention Constitution Day, immediately the question will come, which is what is going the Constitution Day? Which day is? Can anyone tell me when is the Constitution Day of 2022? If anyone can type it on the chat box. Okay, 26 November, day after tomorrow, just 3 days back, 3 days later, we are going to, however, on 26th December, we are going to celebrate our Constitution Day, because that is the day when we the people of India gave the Constitution to ourselves. Then Good Governance Week also, okay, those of you have already, some of you already mentioned 26 November, very good. Okay, now you tell me, when is the Good Governance Week celebrated? Just quickly, if you can type on one date relevant to Good Governance Week. Okay, 25th December, very good. Okay, none of you need to do it now. 25th December, and again, you should know what is 25th December. Is it because of Christmas or something else? Okay, it is our former Prime Minister Atal Bihari Vajpayee's birthday, and the week starting Monday, in which 25th December falls, that is the Good Governance Week. Actions at 75, the resolve at 75 has to be translated into actions. And that is why I told you that the Amrit Kal is going to be your period. It is going to be the period in which you will be serving the nation. When you get into the civil service, major part of your civil service career you will spend in Amrit Kal. So make it worth for the country by doing some important action. Some of the things which Government of India has already commenced. One is the Gati Shakti National Master Plan for Multimodal Connectivity. We will have a quick look at what is Gati Shakti. This is how, since it's a demo, I'm demonstrating here that when you find a new term, Gati Shakti is a new term, not for you, but for many people, it may be a new term. Then immediately the question will come, what is Gati Shakti? Somebody is scribbling on the pad. Please don't do that. Please show courtesy to your friends. Don't write anything on the screen. Okay, don't draw pictures. Okay, so during the interview also, you must keep this in mind that if you drop any specific name, if you mention any new term during the course of your interview, you should expect a question on that. So if you, during your course of the answering, you mention about the Gati Shakti Master Plan, you should expect a question that, okay, tell me what is Gati Shakti Master Plan. Can you briefly explain the components of Gati Shakti Master Plan? This question may come from the panel immediately. So be very careful in framing your question, framing your answers to any question. If you use any terms in your answer, you should have good knowledge about it. Otherwise, don't use that word. If you are not sure about some term, don't use it. As far as possible, avoid it. Because if you use it, you must expect a question on that. So since I mentioned about Gati Shakti Master Plan, immediately the question will come from the panel, what is Gati Shakti Master Plan? Then I have this answer with me. I'm not going to read it because I want only to tell you that this is how questions are asked in the interview. So you read about Gati Shakti Master Plan. I have given it in this slide, but it is there in the, I think in the previous Ready Reckoner it was there, because Gati Shakti Master Plan is not current affair. It is of 2021. Or I think even before that, I don't remember the exact date, but in any case, it is not of 2022. So, though it is not current affair, if you mention it as part of the current affair, question can come on that. So that is how questions are developed during the course of the interview. Most of the interviewers, the panelists, they may not come fully prepared to ask questions to you. The questions will come on their own. Questions will come to their lips without their preparation. At least in my case, that has always been the case. The questions will come naturally to me. And the people sitting in UPSC, they are also experienced people like me. Question will come naturally to them. So they will ask. And if you give them a lead, naturally they will catch on that. So be very careful in giving them leads. If you are not very sure about any ground, don't lead the boat to that ground. It can be very dangerous for you. If you lead them to an unknown ground, it can be very dangerous. So take them to areas where you are very, very confident. You are strong about it. So if you are already prepared about Gati Shakti Master Plan, you must mention that so that they ask you a question. So go well prepared with the background, with many other terms like this, so that you can lead the board to those areas and you can score well. It's a very good strategy and it has worked with many students. I know about it. I got feedback from many students that they have been doing it. Then when you talk about Gati Shakti Master Plan, naturally the question will come about what is the National Infrastructure Pipeline, because that is also related to Gati Shakti Master Plan. This question will come, so you must be prepared to answer questions on National Infrastructure Pipeline also. And then when you talk about a National Infrastructure Pipeline, they may ask questions about the India Investment Grid, which is the platform on which National Infrastructure Pipeline is hosted. So you must know about the India Investment Grid also. So this is how you develop your answers. Then when you talk about India investment and the National Infrastructure Pipeline, a time will come, harmonize the master list of infrastructure. Look for that. If you are not sure about the harmonized master list of infrastructure, then you are putting yourself into trouble by mentioning that term. This is not a current affair. Harmonized master list of infrastructure is at least 10 years old, but it continues to be a current affair because it is being mentioned along with national infrastructure pipeline. It is nothing but harmonizing various infrastructure sectors. There are many sectors like transport, energy, water and sanitation, communications, social and commercial infrastructure. All these things have to be harmonized. They have to be integrated so that there is no wastage of resources, there is no wastage of time from using one particular infrastructure in conjunction with another set of infrastructure. So, for example, if you are traveling by a highway, a national highway, an expressway, and the communication doesn't work there, then people will not like to use that highway. So the communication has to be there. The towers have to be available or near that expressway. There should be toilet facilities on the expressway. Sanitation is very important. So, water should be available. Some shops have to be there. Then there has to be, suppose if you are using an electric vehicle, there should be charging facility there. There should be petrol pumps and other facilities there. So all these have to be integrated and harmonized. That is what is meant by the harmonized master list of infrastructure. So all these things have to go together, and Government of India has a very elaborate program to harmonize all these various subsectors of infrastructure. So please read about these things also when you are preparing about Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav. Then the last is achievements at 75. That we have progressed a lot during the last 75 years. You should have a good knowledge about what we have achieved so far and how we are remembering those achievements. For example, last year around this time, when I was taking classes for the IGP, we talked about the Swarnim Vijay Varsh because we were about to celebrate the victory of over Pakistan in the Bangladesh war. That came in November 1971. So we celebrated the 50th anniversary of that last year. So that was celebrated as Swarnim Vijay Varsh. Similarly, you should know about the National Science Day. I don't remember the day. If anybody remembers the day, you can type it, or at least you can type the name of the person in whose memory National Science Day is celebrated. Okay, C.V. Raman, very good. Okay, 28th February. Okay, I don't remember it. You must be right. Okay, but this is how you prepare your current affairs. Then it's a launch of Shrestha Yojana. It's a wonderful program. One of the schools which I have visited a few months back, I met some of the students. That was a school in Kerala. I found students from Northeast there. I asked them, how did they come to a school in Kerala? They said they came under the Shrestha Yojana. Actually, I was not fully aware of I have heard about Shrestha Yojana, but I was not fully aware of the Shrestha Yojana. I was not aware that so much of work is going on under the Shrestha Yojana. It's a wonderful program to help the students from the tribal communities, from the scheduled caste communities, from different parts of the country to select a school of their choice, and the Government of India would pay the fees for them. Of course, there is some procedure. I have given the details in the slide. I'm not going to read it, but these are the things you must remember. Read about these things so that you go to the interview fully prepared. And now I will give, to complete my demonstration, I will, sorry. Okay, this is how some questions which I have framed on Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav. And I don't claim that this is an exhaustive list. You can think of many other questions like this by using your own knowledge, using your thinking. You can think of many other questions like this. So when you go for the interview and suppose your discussion comes about Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav, then the type of questions you can expect from the board will be like, have you attended any event related to Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav? Are you ever aware of any such event? Can you name, like they may ask, what is the National Science Day? What is Constitution Day? All these questions they can ask, and then they can even ask, have you participated in any such celebration in your village, in your town, anywhere, or in your workplace? Such questions then, and if you have already attended it, then you are again leading them to an area of strength. So this type of questions you can expect and try to give good answers. Then can you name any unsung hero of our freedom struggle from your home state? This is a question you must expect. And please go through the, if you just do a Google search about unsung heroes of freedom struggle, you will get a full list. Of course, it's a very long list. That is why I have not put it in the slide. It's a very long list. So go to your home state, go to the list related to your home state, go through the list and find out. There may be some names who are already familiar to you. There may be some names you have not even heard about. So please do some Google search and find out details about those unsung heroes. Somebody switched on the microphone, please switch it off. Please switch it off. Okay, this is an exercise you must do now. Immediately, as early as possible, do it, because you are likely to get questions on it. Sugati, please find out who is disturbing us. Then you can expect questions like, are you aware of any monument in the name of that unsung hero? Like a Birsa Munda, I won't call him an unsung hero, but some people may not have heard about Birsa Munda. There are monuments in the name of Birsa Munda, so you read about that. If possible, if you are from that state, you visit it and try to find out more about such unsung heroes. Then why do you think he or she has been forgotten? Why is it that our books are not covering it? Why is it that our textbooks do not mention them? You must have a good answer, a convincing answer about that. Now, if you are a district collector, how will you try to perpetuate his or her memory? I know there are many district collectors who have done it. They have created monuments, or they have created some kind of memorials for those unsung heroes so that people remember them. Can you do that? That is a situation question. So try to answer this type of situation questions also in a very positive manner. So for that, you will need some preparation. Then name some major achievements during the last 75 years. Now, if you start thinking after this question has been asked, it will be very difficult to answer such a question. So my advice to you is that please prepare a small list. Think of some major achievements during the last 75 years so that you can present it before the board with a lot of confidence. So if you already have prepared a list and you present it, that will give a very good impression. Then you should also be familiar with the new programs of Government of India related to Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav. A few of them we have already covered. Some of more, there may be many more. So you read about them. Then another interesting thing which if I am in the panel, I might try to relate it, the Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav, with your hobbies. Like for example, if you are written travel as your hobby, I will ask you, have you visited any place related to our freedom struggle? Now, if you say that I have not visited, that will give a bad impression. So try to visit some places, at least to read about some places. You might have already visited some places, have more information about it. Similarly, if you have mentioned reading is my habit, then I can ask you the question, can you mention any recent book about any about the freedom struggle in general, or about any hero of our freedom struggle? Are you familiar with any such book? This type of questions also you must expect in your interview. Okay, this is by way of demonstration. I try to tell you that these are the type of questions which can come in relation to one topic. I have covered almost more than 45 minutes I had taken to discuss one topic with you. So if we go at this rate, I will not be able to cover more than two or three more topics. So let us go to the list of topics and you tell me which topic you will like me to discuss. You can quickly, I'll take a 2 minutes water break. In that period, please type out the topics which you will like me to discuss. I'll wait for 2 minutes. Okay, fine. I got enough topics now. I got enough topics. EWS and police reforms, I will not be able to discuss because I don't have slides related to that. So I will go to the, I think the maximum vote has gone in favor of polyversity, sedition, and national logistics policy. First I will go to national logistic policy, which was the first entry made here. I will go to that first. Then don't type any more because we will not get time for all these topics. So national logistics policy, this was launched only 2 months back on 17th September 2022. And it is, I will not read the slide. You can read the slide yourself. I will just tell you about the philosophy behind it. I'll tell you the intention behind it. The intention is very clear that I already mentioned when I was dealing with the Gati Shakti Master Plan, and also the harmonization of the infrastructure. I mentioned there that there are a lot of synergy which can be developed by planning the harmonization or integration of the various kinds of infrastructure modes, infrastructure subsectors. Logistics itself has a lot of subsectors. Now, logistics is one part of infrastructure. Within that subsector, there are subsectors. Now, they are themselves not integrated properly. For example, you are sending some goods through rail. Rail cargo, for cargo movement, rail is the cheapest mode of transport in our country. Suppose if you have sent some cargo by the rail, it reaches the destination, but from there to your factory or your godown or wherever you wanted to send it, the road connection is not there. The road connection is poor. The truck availability is poor. There are no local transporters available, so you will find it extremely difficult. So we must have very good integration of various kinds of logistics, so that you can save a lot of money, you can save a lot of time, you can also save a lot of human resources, because the integration is possible. Some of you, all of you must be aware of the common the smart card for various services. If you buy the smart card from the Delhi Metro, you can use it in the transport, also in the bus also you can use it. Suppose if you have that kind of a facility, then lot of money will be saved, lot of time will be saved, and the space in your purse will also be saved. I have seen it in many countries, many cities. I have seen that they have one smart card for all services. Singapore, for example, if you have one smart card, you can use it in the railway, you can use it in the bus, you can use it for parking space, you can use it for making a telephone call. For everything, the same smart card can be used. Similarly, for all logistic processes, we can have a very good streamlining using the technology which is already available with us. If I have myself given this suggestion long time back, about more than nearly 15 years back, when I was transport secretary in my state, I had suggested this in one of the meetings, that why don't we integrate all these things? Why do we have to pay separate toll fee in separate toll counters everywhere, and how much money we are losing there, how much time we are losing by paying the money at each toll counter. There is a lot of corruption involved. There was one study which was conducted, which mentioned, I think it was conducted by one of the industrial associations, maybe FICCI or some or I don't know which, some chamber of commerce. They have conducted a study which came with the result that if some goods are transported from Delhi to say Chennai or Delhi to Mumbai, they have to pay several thousands by way of facilitation money. That is practically a term which people can use for bribe. So all these things are happening because we don't provide facilities. We don't use technology. Now I am very happy that though people didn't listen to me at that time, now we have the FASTag, we have many other such facilities. We could have even had Wi-Fi enabled vehicles, Wi-Fi enabled, with this radio frequency, RFID enabled number plates. That was my suggestion, which was not listened to. But why can't we have this type of things, so that we can save time, we can save energy, we can save human resources, and things will be much better if we can integrate all these things. And national logistics policy talks about such approaches. So please think about any good ideas you may have, and when you become civil servants, you are the ones who are going to drive this type of policies. You are the ones who are going to frame this type of policies. So be prepared to face questions on how to use technology for improving our logistics, how we can integrate various technologies, how we can integrate various kinds of infrastructure, various kinds of logistics. All these things you can think about, and you can come up with good answers. And some of the answers, some of the ideas I have mentioned in this slide. So please go through it. And then this is what our national logistics policy talks about: reduce the cost of logistics in India, to be comparable to global benchmarks by 2030. We could have done it at least 10 years back, but we are still in the process of doing it. But at least now we have started doing it. Logistics performance index ranking, we are not doing very well. We could have done, because we have the best IT engineers in the world. So there is no reason why we cannot have artificial intelligence enabled systems. We can have the best technology for managing our logistics. There is no reason why we should not be the best in the world. Create data-driven decision support mechanism and efficient logistics ecosystem. All these things are based on the best technology available, and that best technology is developed by Indian engineers. So there is no reason why we should not use it. Comprehensive logistics action plan. Please read about it. I will not discuss it in detail. It's a very, very excellent plan which we have. I have already covered most of the things. Most of the components I have already mentioned in different manner, but there is a lot of scope for making our ease of doing business better. By better logistics will lead to ease of doing business also. So all these things are connected to each other. So please read about all these things so that you can come up with excellent answers. Now I'll go back to this slide again, and then I'll talk about sedition law. Okay. Sedition law, I'll not go deep into it because you have already studied constitution, you are already familiar with the law, you are already familiar with IPC, so I will not go into the details, but section 124A IPC is quoted here, you can read it. I'm sure you are already familiar with it. Why I want you to go a little deep into the sedition law is because it is being discussed in the Supreme Court now. It is being agitated in the Supreme Court right now. There is a case going on there. The bench in last year, the Supreme Court said that there is need to revisit sedition law because it is a very I won't say outdated, but it's a very old law. Situation has changed, the social conditions have changed, we have changed. So there is a reason to have a fresh look at it, particularly in this age of technology, particularly in this age of IT. There is need. Print media has been more or less, it is getting replaced by electronic media, and there is no reason why we should not have a fresh look at it. So Government of India said, yes, we are going to have a fresh look at it, but let us look at it. We will look at it because it is not for the court to decide what should be the sedition law. The court can interpret law, but the framing the law is the business of the legislature. It is the business of the government. So let us do it in the government, and we will have a national dialogue about it, and we will come up with a revisited sedition law. And now what did the Supreme Court say? Supreme Court said, okay, you revisit sedition law, but till that time, don't take any action. We are putting the sedition law on hold. So that is indirectly it is putting pressure on the government to expedite the relook at sedition law. So if the government takes its own time, government takes several years to revisit the sedition law, naturally government will not be able to book anybody under the law because that has been put on hold. So it is a pressure on the government to expedite the relook on this sedition law. So now when you mention this in the interview, the board may ask you, what are your views on it? What do you think should be our approach to sedition in our country? Do you want the sedition law to continue? Do you want to continue in any different form? Should there be different components in the sedition law? So you can give your own views. I don't want to force and impose my views on you. That is why I not attempted to write another slide on sedition law. I want you to think about it and you give your answers, because I will never like to put my answers in your mouth. This is a question which many students have been asking me. If they ask me this question, how should I answer? For example, if they ask me, why do you want to join IAS? What should I answer? I tell them, I will not answer you. I will not help you in finding the answer. Because if I give my answer, that will be my answer. It cannot be your answer. It is my thinking. How I think about IAS, how I want to join IAS is not the reason why you want to join IAS. So naturally, my answer cannot be your answer. Similarly, for any opinion-based questions, I will not like to give you the answers. I will give you the background. I can give you the pros and cons of each issue, but I will not give you my views. Please come up with your own views. Suppose if the board asks you to explain your views, you should be able to do that. But whatever view you hold, you should be able to substantiate it with good logic. And let me tell you very categorically that there is nothing like a right answer and wrong answer. Any opinion-based question, because these are not fact-based questions. If it is fact-based question, there will be a right answer and wrong answer. But in the case of opinion-based questions, there is never a right answer and wrong answer. Whatever answer you give, whatever is your thinking, that is your right answer. It may not be my right answer, but it is your right answer. And you are the one who is going to be interviewed, not me. So whatever answer you give, that has to be accepted by the board, provided that proviso is important. You should be able to substantiate it with good logical backing. So think about the pros and cons. Start asking questions to yourself, that why are you thinking like this? What is the reason behind your answer? What is the reason behind your analysis? What is the reason behind your viewpoint? And if you have a very cogent reason to substantiate your viewpoint, that is the right answer. Don't worry about giving any answer, provided you are able to substantiate it. Okay, I'll go back to the thing, and now I'll go to polyversity. Okay, this is a very interesting topic, though many people don't even know about polyversity. I have talked to many people, most of them have not even heard about polyversity. Now, this is something which is happening in our country. Already it has happened. It is going on. And it is a wonderful experiment, wonderful initiative by the government of India, with the help of private companies, with the help of international, multinational companies in the private sector. And this is something where you are all familiar with the metaversity concept, metaverse, you know about that. So it is something that it is nothing but using the blockchain technology to run a university online. Some of you may be from IT background. You may be able to explain metaverse better than I can. Is there anybody who can explain metaverse better than I can? Okay, I'm not an expert in this line. Is there anybody who can explain metaverse in 2 minutes time? If anybody is there, please unmute yourself and talk. I am giving you the opportunity to take a class for 2 minutes. Because I am not an expert. You can also explain how blockchain technology can be used for running a university online. Anybody? Okay. Nobody's volunteering. Okay, please. Some IT engineer must be there.
Sir, can I try?
Oh, please. Even if you are not perfect, it doesn't matter. I value your intervention much more than your answer. Okay. Who is I don't get your name.
Sir, Siddharth.
Siddharth. Okay. Okay. Sugati, please switch on your video also. Oh, okay. Okay. Very good. Okay.
Sir,
Please,
metaverse.
please, yes, please. Yes, you are audio. Please explain.
Yeah, sir, metaverse is simply experiencing the reality in a virtual world. It can use augmented reality and virtual reality also. For example, in metaverse, if there are many monuments such as Qutub Minar, in metaverse we can put on a VR headset and we can visualize them as if we are at that place only.
Okay, how will you integrate a university in that? How will you put a university in the metaverse?
Sorry, sir, I'm not aware about that.
Okay, think about it. Think about it. Suppose you are asked this question in the interview. How will you answer? I want to run a university in the virtual world.
Sir,
Virtual university.
Sir, by using by using metaverse, the students from the far-flung places, by providing them internet access and metaverse access, the students can see if they are present just like in the classroom.
Yes.
And the knowledge can be given to everyone, and the knowledge barrier would be removed using this.
Very good. Okay, this is exactly what is happening now. This is happening, actually happening. There's something like you have a mall. All of you must have visited some malls in Delhi or any other place. So you open a mall, then the shops are available for many companies to come and open their showrooms. Similarly, in the metaverse, which is created, the polyversity, which has been created by Government of India with the help of information data systems, space is available. Space is available for various universities to come and open their virtual universities. So, and the students can enroll themselves in these universities. They can visit these universities in a virtual mode. They can attend classes. They can do research. They can do anything which they do in a in a normal university. But everything will happen in the virtual world. AICTE has already opened their virtual platform there. They have started operating there. There are many other bodies, national universities and international universities will come there. And now this is also one of the best ways to implement the national education policy. Now, in national education policy, you must already be familiar with the credit system, that you accumulate credits by attending various programs of your choice. The student has the choice. Student can choose various courses and collect credits. Now, it will not be possible. Suppose if somebody wants to attend a university and in your city that course is not available, where do you go? You can go to some foreign university, some other university, Indian university, which is offering that course in the polyversity in a virtual mode. So this facility has been created, and there used to be a presentation on it on the net. I not been able to download it, but it was there. So please search for it. The ceremony There was a beautiful presentation about polyversity done by the executives of information data systems. I think it was done by the Bharat Blockchain Network. Yeah, BBN is an Indian company that has already been created, and BBN executives have given a demonstration of how they are going to use blockchain technology for enabling various types of information distribution, information gathering. All these things are already happening in our country, and okay, then this is the largest educational metaverse in India, and with over 100 academic partners, they will be establishing virtual campuses, and anybody can access sitting at their home. It can be, and like I mentioned about the mall allotting various shops to various people. Similarly, land parcels will be land. It's a virtual land will be assigned to various academic partners in the polyversity. And in information data system, they have promised to impart skill to 5 lakh students in blockchain technology and Web 3.0. Please read about Web 3.0 also, because that also can, because I didn't want to talk about that because I am not an expert in this type of things. So please read about Web 3.0 also, and blockchain technology. I'm sure you are all familiar with it. And IDS is an American corporation headquarters in Michigan, and they have promised to help India in this field. They have strong points in many other areas related to IT, cybersecurity, cloud, etc. And they are going to use it to run this this polyversity. Now, please read about it, and if possible, you can search for a presentation which was available, but I couldn't locate it so far. After that, I have in the inaugural program, I have sat through the entire inaugural program, which was available on the net, but it is not available now. Please try and locate it. Okay, we will go back, and I will take one more item and then I will stop. Then we can have a general discussion. What other topic? OneWeb. Okay, let us go to OneWeb. OneWeb is again a partnership between Government of India and the private company. That is ISRO representing Government of India, and the London-based satellite communication company, that is the Network Access Associated. That company is known as OneWeb. ISRO and the commercial component of ISRO, that is New Space India Limited, and OneWeb, they joined together to deploy 36 satellites from Sriharikota, and this is actually commercialization of ISRO services. ISRO has been mostly doing the government services, but now this is going to be used by the business. It's a commercial activity of ISRO, and New Space Limited was created for this purpose in 2019 as a commercial arm of ISRO. Now, this is enabled. This is done by a low Earth orbit. Low Earth orbit because it is there are a lot of advantages of low Earth orbit, because the latency will be much less if you use the low Earth. If anybody can give more information about it, please feel free to talk about it, because I am not an expert on these type of things, but it will definitely, because low latency is very important. Low latency connectivity is extremely important for our country, because when we talk, we already entered the 5G area, because 5G the biggest advantage of 5G is low latency. That is, the time to deliver the service has to be reduced to near to zero as possible. You might have seen when you are watching the TV news channels or TV discussions, you might have seen the delay in response. Somebody is asking a question, then somebody else sitting in the panel is giving an answer after a few seconds. That is latency, that is a delay. That delay may be tolerable in a TV channel discussion, but if we start using it for other life-saving activities, like, for example, robotic surgery or telemedicine, etc., it can be disastrous. So the latency has to be reduced to fraction of a second or something like that, so that there is hardly any delay at all. And that will be possible. 5G will enable us to do that, and 6G will further improve on that. So we are already in the 5G mode now, and 5G will become may cover all over India by the end of next year, or hopefully by middle of next year itself. We may be able to use the 5G technology everywhere in the world. But to enable that, we need good satellite communication. We need low Earth satellites so that the latency is reduced. And please go through the slide. That will save my energy, because I already spent an hour and a half with you. I'm feeling a bit tired, so please go through it. LVM3, that satellite, please read about that also. All of you must be familiar with geosynchronous satellite. And the meaning of geosynchronous satellite also you must be aware of. But geosynchronous, for those of you who may not be aware of what is geosynchronous satellite, I'm hopeful that none of you would be in the dark about a geosynchronous satellite. It is nothing but a satellite moving at the same speed as Earth. So that as Earth completes a rotation, the satellite will also complete a rotation. So related to Earth, the satellite will look static, because it is moving along with the Earth. That is what is known as geosynchronous satellite. The new name for that is LVM3, Launch Vehicle Mark III. And that has been used, and that has been developed by ISRO. And it is much cheaper and much more energy efficient, and maybe it will promise, it has a very lot of promise about India's future satellite launches and even the manned missions to space. Okay, now I will stop here. Now let us have okay, I'll take one more topic, because I got another 5 minutes before 6:30. I'll take DBU also, because somebody has mentioned DBU. DBU is, please read it, I'm not reading it. DBU is nothing but a two-way ATM, you can say. ATM is a physical thing. ATM is not purely digital. It has a physical infrastructure. It is available physically on the roadside. You can get into that and you can withdraw money from there. But if you want to put money back into the bank, ATM will not help you. Digital banking unit will help you in doing every banking transaction, almost every banking transaction in the digital mode. That is DBU. And since we are celebrating the 75th year of the freedom of our independence, this was launched in 75 districts. 75 digital banking units were launched in 75 districts on 16th October 2022. And the idea is that the benefit of digital transaction, digital banking should be available to everyone as close to their home as possible. And I not given the list of banks which have joined this, but there are 11 banks in the public sector, 12 in the private sector, and one small finance bank. They are all participating in this endeavor. It's not, I don't think it is important to know the names, but just understand that DBU is going to be the at least the immediate future of banking. RBI guidelines of April 2022, they allowed the scheduled commercial banks also to open DBUs. And there are certain conditions which RBI has prescribed. Most of these things I have already mentioned. So please read about DBU. Please, I don't know whether any DBU would be available near your place. If it is available, please have a look at it. But it is essentially, it is a two-way ATM. Okay, now let us have some questions. Somebody has mentioned, Mathur has mentioned that can I share the complete PDF with you? Yes, whatever material I produce, it is freely available to my students in Samkalp. So I will share it with Subrudhi or Raju Chauhan, and they will share it with you, because I don't have your WhatsApp numbers. So I think Raju Chauhan will be able to share it with all of you. That will be done. But don't even think about it. Even if you don't get it, all these things are there in my almost all these things are there in my Retd reckoner. One or two items may be missing because some of them are old. Some of them are very, very old. Like, for example, the harmonized infrastructure that is 10 years old. So I not put it in my Retd reckoner. This type of things you may have to read about. But otherwise, it is there in the book. Okay, now questions. You can type it in the chat box, or if you want to use the microphone, unmute yourself and ask.
Anybody who wants to ask questions, just unmute yourself and ask the questions.
Not necessarily related to current affairs. You can ask me anything about interview. I can help you.
Hello, am I audible, sir?
Yes, you are audible.
Good evening, sir. I wanted to ask to what extent do we have to prepare about our state and city, and what is a good source to prepare for it?
This question will be answered tomorrow when Aditya Ranjan takes the class. But since you asked this question, I will tell you your home state is very important. You will get questions about, you should be familiar with the history of your state, your geography of your state, the political developments in your state, the economic conditions of the state. All these things they can ask. They can even ask questions about soil conditions, the various geographical zones of the state, various national parks and heritage monuments in your state, the Ramsar wetlands of your state. All these questions they can ask. So be very, very thorough about your home state, because that is going to be very important for you. And one more thing I will like to tell you, that state does not only mean your home state. Suppose if you are born in Delhi and you worked in Allahabad for 2 or 3 years, or you have studied in BHU, or you studied in Mumbai, that also becomes your home state in a way. They can ask you questions about, suppose if you studied in BHU, They can ask you questions about what is happening in BHU now. They can ask you about the Kashi Vishwanath corridor. They can ask you about the recent environmental improvements in Varanasi. They can ask about the water transport, the connectivity they created in Varanasi. All these questions they can ask. They can ask about the history of Varanasi. Though you may not belong to Varanasi, the only thing which happened is that you studied in BHU. That's all. But you have mentioned it in your DAF. Any word which you have mentioned in your DAF is important. So my advice to all of you is that go through the DAF every day, look at every word you have written there, and expect questions about each word you have written. That Santoshji will explain to you in detail, but this is my advice to you. You can expect any question related to that word. And if there are some current affairs related to that, that also they will ask.
Thank you, sir.
And one more thing, let me tell you, because of course, a repetition of what I mentioned already, that if you are very strong about, if you have very good information about your home state, you can lead the board to that. I know candidates who have spent 20 minutes discussing their home state. It's a very good strategy, but you must be on very sure ground. I know candidates who have spent 15 to 20 minutes discussing their hobby. Last year, there was a candidate who had mentioned folk songs of his state as his hobby. He spent nearly 15 minutes discussing folk songs of his home state. So such things can also happen. So it is your choice how much time you want the board to spend on your area of strength. Any other question?
Good evening, sir. I am Dr.
Yes.
Gursimrat Singh.
Yes.
Sir, I wanted to ask which newspapers or one or two which to read to refer daily.
Well, this is a question again which I will not like to answer because depending on your...
Sir, are Hindu Express and Hindu sufficient, or I have to add some more?
Yes, if you are reading Express and Hindu, that's more than enough.
Okay, sir, and which is the best
but
magazine?
Only thing I will like to tell you is that read 2 newspapers, because one newspaper will give you a distorted version. You must balance it by reading another newspaper.
Okay, sir.
And
sir, which magazine shall we choose? The Frontline Week or which magazine to refer? One magazine to refer.
There again,
which is the best according to your experience,
if
sir?
you read only Frontline, you will get one set of views. If you read another, maybe India Today, you may get a different set of views. So,
which is the best according to your experience, which we can refer out of them?
I used to read all these things, all the available magazines when I was preparing, but that was long back. I did it 47 years back, so that is not relevant now. But now, when I am preparing for my current affairs ready reckoner, I depend mainly on Hindu, Indian Express, and Times of India. And I also read articles of India Today, because Frontline articles I found to be too one-sided. So I'm not very happy reading it, but I'm not saying that you should not read it. But I find Frontline articles to be too one-sided. So I prefer to read something in the government website, because after all, you are all planning to become civil servants. Civil servants should never try to say anything which goes against the interest of the government. I am not saying that you should defend the government for everything, but you should not take a view which is totally against the government. That is also going to the other extreme is also bad. I don't want you to support the ruling party or that I will never ask you. But you should take a balanced view. Many of these newspapers, many of these TV channels, many of the news magazines don't take a balanced. That is my problem. So be careful about that and try to find a balanced view. That is why I prefer that you get information and think about it yourself. Get information from any source, but don't get ideas from sources. The ideas should be your own. Pros and cons you can collect. But what exactly is your view? That has to be your view alone. Don't quote the view of a Hindu newspaper or Times of India or that. Please don't do that.
Thank you, sir.
Then there are some other questions on the chat box. So let me read that. How to lead? Yes, leading is like this only. That you mention something, you drop in some good terms which they will immediately catch. I know candidates have been using it. They will come up with some. They will say something. Then the board will say, "Okay, explain that in more detail." Then that candidate will again do something more about that. No, he practically would drop terms which he or she is familiar with, very thorough with. That is leading. And I have graduated in computer science engineering in 2018. How much depth I need to cover from basic syllabus in CSE, apart from current affairs related to IT, since it is 4 years now. Now, I'm happy that you asked this question, because though we are talking about current affairs, your background, your educational background will be very, very relevant. So, for example, since you have done computer engineering, they will assume that you are very comfortable with 5G. To give an example, or you are very comfortable with the cryptocurrency. You are very comfortable with the digital university. They will assume. Then they may ask you questions based on that. Now, if you say that, sorry, sir, I have forgotten everything. I have forgotten my computer science basics because I did it 4 years back. That will cut a sorry figure. So I would advise you go through the basics of what you studied in the university once again. Basics. I'm not asking you to take your textbook back and start going through everything, but basics you should know. If you say that you are not at all familiar with the basics, then they will say, no, what type of candidate is this? Within 4 years, you have forgotten everything. I studied chemistry 50 years back, but still I know the basics. It will never leave me because it has become part of my being. It has become part of my personality. So that you should not forget. You will never forget computer science. Don't worry about it. You will remember it. Just quickly go through your old textbook. Don't read the entire textbook, but quickly go through the basics. And then any questions related to current affairs, questions related to your subject, the subject which you studied in the university and the subject which you have chosen as your optional subject, any current affairs related to that, you should be thorough. You have no excuse. If you say that, suppose if you are a civil engineer and a question comes, can you tell me about some recent civil engineering achievements of our country, some civil engineering marvels of our country created in the last 5 years. And if you are sorry, sir, I cannot remember, I don't remember anything. That will give a poor impression about you. Because you are attending a personality test. It's a part of your personality that you keep yourself aware of what is happening around you. And if something happens in your chosen area, your subject, you have to read about it. You should be thorough about it, and you should be able to explain. Suppose some layman asks you, can you explain to me, okay, if you are a doctor, and a layman asks you, can you explain how COVID is treatment, how the vaccine treats COVID? And if you say, no, sorry, I don't know anything about vaccines. Will it create a good impression? This is what I mean by basics. Okay. If some layman asks you a question, you should be able to explain in simple terms. You don't have to use any technical terminology or anything. Make it in a very simple language. And another question is, I am a mechanical engineer and worked in automobile sector for 4 years, but in sales and marketing. But I must prepare both automobile engineering and sales and marketing. Yes, you must. You must do, and don't not much detail. But suppose, see, you are worked in sales and marketing. What are you marketing? You are marketing an automobile. How can you market an automobile unless you know how it functions, how it is better than another automobile? You will have to explain to the customer coming to your shop. You have to explain that why my automobile, my brand is better than the other brand. For that, you should have good knowledge of the technical aspects of your automobile. You cannot say that I am only a marketing man, I am not a technically experienced person. Please don't give this type of excuses. This again shows that you have an all-round personality. You try to keep yourself familiar with everything that you read about, everything you come across. Because again, you want to score marks. By saying, I don't know, you will not lose marks, but you will not score marks. That is my advice, that try to score marks. If you don't know the answer to a question, you can always say, sorry, sir, I don't know. But will you get any mark for saying that? Think about it. But if you give a beautiful 2-sentence answer to that question, you will get a few marks. That should be your aim. Okay. I will take one or two more questions and then we will finish.
Good evening, sir. Sir, I am an MBBS fresh graduate. What are the areas? I also worked in COVID for 6 months. What are the areas I need to prepare as a medical?
Everything about immunology, about vaccines, about epidemics, about sanitation, about pollution, all these things, they can ask questions, technical questions. They may ask you technical questions also, because you are a doctor. Okay, they may ask, they may find out whether you are in a position to use your medical knowledge into real life situations. You are going to work as a sub-collector of a district, or a district collector. An epidemic breaks out in your district. How will you deal with it? Now, this question may not be asked to a political science graduate, but they will ask you. Then you cannot, of course, you have to know about the technical aspect, that the medical aspects of it. You should also know about the legal aspects of it. You should know about the Epidemics Act, for example. You should know about community medicine. You should know how to involve the community in dealing with the situation. All these things will be useful to you. That is why I tell you that try to make your personality as all-round as possible. Because UPSC wants all-rounders. They don't want academically brilliant people. Academically brilliant people may be a liability sometimes, but an all-round personality will be an asset. And they always look for all-round personalities. You can read about anything related to health and anything which comes in the newspapers. Okay.
Good evening, sir. Sir, they usually ask me, as my first preference is Indian Police Service, and it is personal answer, but I'm not able to convince them why from MBBS to Indian Police Service. My answer is that I was inspired by my maternal uncle and also have interest in crime and investigation and also admire police uniform. So, sir, how to answer?
Don't worry about it. Again, I am repeating myself, but I will not like to answer your question, but I will tell you whatever is your reason for opting for civil service, that is the only right answer. Sometimes the board may dispute it. It is only a test of your personality. Don't think that they are disagreeing with you. They are not. They have to accept your answer. Because you are not, you have not taken a decision to join civil service because of somebody else's decision. It is your own decision. You have your own reasons. How can any board say that this is not your decision? This is not your reason. How can they say that? They cannot say that. But they are testing you again. They will start disputing it. Then you stand your ground. But very politely, sir, this is the reason why I decided. There may, some other persons may have different reasons to join civil service, but these are my reasons. And I am not guided by anybody. I have been, this is the, this is the call of my own conscience. I wanted to do it, and that is why I am here. Nobody, even if somebody starts a discussion on that, you stand your ground, but politely.
So they usually say government has subsidized you, so you have a government seat, now you have wasted a seat, things like that.
Then of course, I don't want you to ask this question to the board, but why did the UPSC include the medicine as one of the optional subjects?
Definitely, sir. But how to answer that if they say things like that?
This type of questions, instead of asking it in a negative way, try to answer it in a positive way. Okay, he said, sir, medicine also is available as an optional subject, and naturally only doctors will select it. When you say like this, I'm not putting my words into your mouth, but if you politely say it in a positive tone, that will be accepted. But if you say that, if you ask this question, sir, then why did you have medicine as an optional subject? That will be a negative approach. But if you politely, maybe with a smile on your face, sir, I found that medicine is, and it suited my way of thinking, it suited my personality, so I decided to take up medicine as is medicine your optional subject?
Sir, Punjabi literature is my optional subject.
Punjabi literature, okay, then that question will come, why did you select medicine and went for Punjabi literature? Again, I will not give you the answer. Whatever is your answer, sir, that is the right answer.
Yes, sir.
This is my general answer to everybody, that there is nothing better than your own answer. You have your own reasons. You have gone through the syllabus. You have applied your mind to the syllabus, to every word of the syllabus. You have applied your mind, and you have come to a decision, very, very sound decision, using your own judgment, and nobody can challenge you.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, one last question I can take, and then I will stop, because I'm a bit tired now. Any more question? Otherwise, we can.
Sir,
okay.
I have a question.
One last question. Okay.
Sir, in our mains examination, we usually focus on value addition, like quoting certain scholars or quoting data. So
yes,
should the same approach be used in interview, or does it look mechanical?
That may not be a good approach in the interview, because in interview, you are supposed to give very crisp answers. Don't use any verbosity at all. You should be try to make your answers as brief and crisp as possible. Stick to the question. Okay, quotations and jokes and all that. Of course, I know people have done it also, but there is sometimes the board may not appreciate it. So it is safer to avoid it. But sometimes people have got away with it also. And I'm not saying that people are not used it, but different boards have different approaches. Some boards may not appreciate it. So it is better to avoid getting into such trouble. Give straightforward answers using the least number of words as possible.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. It has been a almost 2 hours long session. Actually, you are the one who is, ideating, or IGP, you are heading the IGP, and you are senior most of us, but still Thank you so much, sir, for this invigorating session. And we will have current affairs session once we'll start with the mock interviews as well. So, of course, whatever materials I would provide, we will send it to you. And then once you are in the full swing of the preparation, then I'm sure you would have more questions. Sir would be available for the mock interviews, group interviews as well.
Yeah,
So,
many things which I have not mentioned today, you will get in the group mock also. So mock in group, please attend as many days as you can. There you will get plenty of material from not only from me, but from the other panelists also. And you will get a question bank itself. Because we try to ask different questions, because as I mentioned, it is not our questions. The questions are set by the DAF, which again is set by you. You are so each candidate will have to face different sets of questions. So that we give in the, and we also explain the strategy during the group mock. So please attend that, and then I will take more classes on current affairs. Maybe I'll come up with a different set of current affairs in the next class, so you can attend again. I no problem about it. And the presentation I will share with you, but that's not very important since the ready reckoner is already going to reach you. Okay, thank you very much.
thank you so much, sir. Good night to everybody. Namaskar. We have a session again tomorrow at 5 o'clock for how to prepare for interview by Aditya Ranjanji. So do join in at least 5 minutes prior to that. Today we had some technical issue, but tomorrow we'll start at least 10 minutes before the interview. Thank you so much. Namaskar, sir. Namaste, sir.
I'm leaving now.